Right now, in your immediate social circle, there is at least one person who smiles to your face, but secretly prays for your downfall. I used to think I was immune to them. I used to tell myself I have a great gut feeling for who's real. Then I learned the hard way how wrong I was. When I read Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, it forced me to confront a terrifying flaw in human nature. We live under the delusion that reading people is an instinct, but in reality, we are operating in total darkness. Take a look at the data from the University of California. The average human spots deception only 54% of the time. That means my gut feeling was no better than flipping a coin. People lie with words and expressions every single day. But while the tongue lies effortlessly, science has shown that the brain cannot. I've spent months studying nonverbal cues and testing a 5-second diagnostic tactic I call the micro-reaction test, rooted in Greene's principles and backed by decades of neuroscientific research. And today, I'm going to give you the exact psychological techniques I use to detect hidden lies and how to escape the duping delight trap before it wrecks your life. But here's a mini challenge for you right now. Picture one person in your life whose loyalty you've secretly questioned. Keep their face in your mind. By the end of Chapter 3, you'll already know with terrifying certainty whether they're a friend or a snake. To show you why this test works, let me break down the exact neurology of a liar in real time. Whenever you share an exciting news with someone, a win, a promotion, a breakthrough, science has shown that two distinct parts of their brain fights for control. Psychologist Dr. Paul Ekman found that the amygdala, our emotion control system, can produce incredibly fast, involuntary facial reactions before we're even fully aware of them. If someone feels threatened, disappointed, or even envious by your success, those emotions can briefly show up on their face as micro-expressions, a tiny facial movement that can last for just 1/25th to 1/20th of a second. Then, 200 milliseconds later, the conscious neocortex, the thinking part of the brain, steps in. They suddenly realize, wait, I need to act supportive, so they put on their social mask. They force a big smile, throw their arms open, and say, I'm so happy for you. But here's the interesting part. Not every smile is the same. A genuine smile, called a Duchenne smile, doesn't just lift the corners of the mouth. It also activates the muscles around the eyes, creating those subtle crow's feet that are almost impossible to fake. A fake smile, on the other hand, is purely mouth. The eyes stay dead cold. Once I realized this, I asked myself, is there a way to catch that first unfiltered reaction before someone has time to hide their social mask? I found the answer in a 3-step protocol from Robert Greene that begins with the angle of surprise and lasts only a few seconds. The logic is that you cannot catch a snake if it sees you coming. Imagine discussing about work with someone stuck in one position for years, and then I asked, what do you think about my new promotion? They already know what's coming, so their guard is fully up. But what if they never saw the question coming? That's where the micro-reaction test begins. So here's what I do instead. Step 1. Catch them off guard. First, I deliver an exciting news completely out of the blue. No warning, no buildup. Just something like, I just closed that deal I've been working on. When people don't have time to prepare their reaction, their first expression is often the most honest. Step 2. The 5-second face lock. As they respond, focus on the area around their face for about 5 seconds. Why? Because that's where tiny emotional reactions often show up before someone can consciously hide them. Step 3. Look for these 5 tiny signals. Number 1. The micro squint. For a split second, their inner eyebrows pull together and lower. It's an almost invisible expression that can signal discomfort, threat, or dislike. Number 2. No crow's feet. Scan the corner of the eyes to see if it remains flat instead of crinkling. Flat corner eyes often depict coldness or suspicion. Number 3. No cheek lift. focus on the cheeks. They do not push upward enough to narrow the eye opening, and this signifies apathy or disconnection. Number 4, the one-sided smirk. Watch for one corner of the mouth lifting slightly. That tiny, uneven smile is commonly associated with contempt. Number 5, the delayed smile. Pay attention to how quickly they smile. If there's a noticeable pause, more than about half a second, before they congratulate you, it may mean they're consciously putting together a positive reaction instead of expressing genuine happiness instantly. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever shared an amazing news with someone, and before they even said congratulations, you felt something off? Like the energy in the room suddenly changed? If you've experienced that, drop a comment below. Your brain may have picked up on subtle facial expressions before you consciously realized something felt different. Now, what if the snake in your life isn't jealous, but is actively working against you behind your back? This is where I watch for a psychological phenomenon known as duping delight. When a covert enemy believes they have successfully lied to you, betrayed you, or kept a dark secret, their brain receives a micro-hit of dopamine. It's a thrill of perceived superiority. Even when they try to act sad, sympathetic, or neutral, that dopamine rush leaks out. For example, if I tell a colleague, someone reported that error on my project to management, and I might get pulled off the account, a true friend's face instantly shows micro signs of worry, brows drawn up, lips pressing together. A snake experiencing duping delight will exhibit a fleeting flash of brightness in their eyes or a micro smirk before covering it up with, "Oh no, that's terrible." It's disturbing when you first spot it, but that leads to the hardest truth I had to accept on my own journey. So, what do I do when I execute the test and spot a snake? Do I confront them? Do I start an argument? Never. Calling out a covert enemy only teaches them to hide their mask better next time. My ultimate weapon is strategic silence. I quietly pull back my trust, stop oversharing, and let them fade out of my inner circle. I adopt the Stoic principle of Amor, Fati, the love of fate. I view every snake I uncover not as a tragic betrayal, but as a necessary lesson that sharpened my emotional intelligence. Human nature can be dark, but once you learn to read the 5-second micro-reactions hiding behind the mask, you will never be played again. If you would like to know how intelligent people turn rejection from friends, family, or anyone to their own advantage, click the video on your screen right now.